أعوذ بالله السميع العليم من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. I just wanted to start by thanking ICNA and MAS for inviting us and inviting you and organizing this conference here. I think once again it's a huge success, as I was told, and as they had to change the location to welcome us this year. I'm trying to come to less conferences and lectures and try to do things that are institutionalized and having also all the new means that we can use. And this is why I accepted and came this year. I will try in the coming years to be much more providing with the substances and less lecture like this, even though I think it's important, but we cannot just keep our time and carrying on our life from one lecture to another, from one conferences to another. And for you also, it's an important task to study and to try also to go beyond only attending conferences. This is very important, but a conference should be a moment where you get this understanding that you have to do more for your own self, for your understanding, for your mind. You will see that there is something that I'm now keep on repeating to the Muslim community wherever I go, that through what I am trying to do now, promoting this relationship between Islamic legislation and ethics, the need to connect with the Muslim community. So you'll see in the booth leaflets about CILE, the Center for Islamic Legislation and Ethics. There is a new application that is connected to my name and the center, and there is also this Facebook official where we are trying to put everything which we are trying to do about ethics, and it's very much related to our discussion. Having said that now, let me, because my talk is mainly about the purpose of life, and I think that as an introduction I want to say three things. And this is also something which is very specific to our religion and universal as to the way we look at it from an Islamic perspective. And this is where, as Muslims, we have to be quite clear on that and what we are talking about. Now, when we speak about the universal, very often we think that the universal is out there. It's something which is the comprehensive understanding. In fact, it's wrong. From an Islamic perspective, the universal is inside. فِطْرَةَ اللَّهِ الَّتِي فَطَرَ النَّاسَ عَلَيْهَا. In fact, there is something that we call the intimate universal, which in fact is, and if you read all the historians of religions, they will tell you something which is important, that wherever they go, wherever you go in the world, when you meet with human beings, and this is something which is exactly وَإِذْ أَخَذَ رَبُّكَ مِنْ بَنِي آدَمَ مِنْ ظُهُورِهِمْ ذُرِّيَّتَهُمْ وَأَشْهَدَهُمْ عَلَى أَنفُسِهِمْ. When Allah took from all the people who are coming from Bani Adam, so all of them, Muslims and people of other faiths, agnostic and atheist, there is something in their heart which is, this is the starting point of everything, which is yearning for an answer. Because by definition, human beings are in need of an answer. Why am I here? You go wherever you want, you will get the same question. And this is the universal, intimate question. Why? And this is where, as Muslims, we understand, Nurun ala nur, the fitra is a spark. Al-Iman is a light that is coming upon the light that you have already there. So when you reconcile the revelation, and there is one of the names of the revelation is Nur, you reconcile it, you make it meet the light that you have inside, is a question getting its answer. And when a question is getting its answer, this is what we call intimate peace, because you are at peace. The question is troubling, the answer is putting your heart at peace. And this is why Ibrahim alayhi salam, when he's asking Allah, Arini kayfa tuhyi al-mawta, show me how do you give life back to the death, he's saying, لِيَطْمَئِنَّ قَلْبِي, in order to have my heart at peace. In fact, I know with my mind that sometimes I need a sign for my heart. So this is something which is the starting point for us as Muslims. And to do this, we come back to the Prophet ﷺ. Before he was getting the revelation, he was looking for, and he was in a quest for the right answer. He was looking at the people around him and they were worshipping idols. He was not happy. So what did he do? He exiled himself. He went to Ghar Hira and tried to get the answer in a cave and asking Allah, give me the answer. Give me an answer. Exactly this, asking Allah, direct me, show me the right path. And Jibreel alayhi salam came, and this is where from the very beginning he isolated himself from people and get it right. Isolation from people is the best way to come back to the people in the right way. This is why the last verses of the Quran, the very short 5 verses of the Quran that you have, قُلْ أَعُوذُ بِرَبِّ النَّاسِ مَلِكِ النَّاسِ إِلَهِ النَّاسِ nas. Be careful with people, because this could be a trap. It's very important to serve people. It's very important to be detached from people. Be careful. I serve you, but you are not my master. You will never be. So this is where, as Muslims, we get that from the very beginning, which is the way the Prophet ﷺ was dealing, peace be upon him, on this. And from the very beginning, Surah Al-Muzammil, وَاصْبِرْ عَلَى مَا يَقُولُونَ. Be careful, be patient with what they say. They are going to attack you in what you believe. وَهْجُرْهُمْ هَجْرًا جَمِيلًا. Look at this. They attack you with bad words. You exile from them with a beautiful way. So your beauty is beyond the bad things that they can say. You are not in substance, and you are not in the way you are dependent or in addiction of what they do. You go beyond that, which is the very understanding of Islam. And this is why we are talking about this quest for meaning. The Prophet ﷺ did it. We have to think about it. And especially when you live in the United States of America, between the American dream and sometimes losing your heart just to stick to rules. Be careful. In the heart of America, keep your heart and choose the right dream. Choose the right dream. Not the dream when we are talking about money and fame, but the dream when we are talking about the way you get that inner peace, the universal peace we are talking about, and then also thinking about coming back to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So we are all in a quest for an answer. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, God is responding. When he's saying, and this is something which was said, it's very important for us to get it from our heart. وَمَا خَلَقْتُ الْجِنَّ وَالْإِنسَ إِلَّا لِيَعْبُدُونَ. So the very essence of our life is worshipping him. And what we want is rid Allah, is his satisfaction. And this is where we understand this. وَالَّذِينَ إِذَا أَصَابَتْهُمْ مُصِيبَةٌ قَالُوا Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. We only say this when the people are dying or are dead. But the point is, إِذَا أَصَابَتْهُمْ مُصِيبَةٌ. Anything that you have in life is as evil a sign, a reminder. Don't forget the meaning of life. You belong to him, and to him you will go back. So this is the very purpose, this is the very essence. You worship him and you try to remember him in whatever situation. This is what you have to do. Now, this is the overall message of Islam. And having said that, now we come to something that we have to do. The purpose is what? What is Islam at the end of the day? The first thing which is important is a way, a path that we have to follow. ثُمَّ جَعَلْنَاكَ عَلَى شَرِيعَةٍ مِّنَ الْأَمْرِ فَاتَّبِعْهَا. So you are, and you have to follow something which is a frame, which is a path. And a path means what? To get a path, you need two things: limits and goals. You need to know where you go, and you need to know what you had to follow. That are the limits. That are tilka hududullah, meaning that there are limits. You need the limits, but be careful. Don't be obsessed with the limits if you don't know where you go. But if you don't, you know where you go, be careful. If you lose the limits, you're going to lose the way. So it's all about balancing. That there is a goal, coming back to him, inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un, and then you know that there are limits. This is tilka hududullah, and this is ثم جعلناك على شريعة من الأمر فاتبعها. Follow the path. But to follow the path, it's something which is also important for us as Muslims that we have to repeat here is anything on the path is not going to be easy. It's a path of easy principles and difficult times. Why? Because you have to strive. Anything to reach the goals has to do with jihad. And this is where, as Muslims, this is where when you are in the United States of America or we are living with people who are not Muslims, you have to come back to the definition of the right Islamic terminology. Jihad is about striving, struggling, and in fact these two things that I keep on repeating is resisting and reforming. Resisting what is bad, resisting the evil, resisting the wrong things and the bad things, and then promoting something. Jihad is a two-way process. Resistance to reform. That's it. And in fact, to reform to get what? To get peace. So anybody who's telling you jihad is about war, no, jihad is the way towards peace. I resist what is bad, oppression, or anything which has to do with my instincts and my desires, just to reform for what is good. So the point here is to follow the path. This is what I have to do. Following the path means after that what I have to do here is also taking from my time. Okay, that's fine. I will go. So this is it. So what I wanted to say here is the way we deal with striking and then, as I said, is also to reform. So we have to follow the path. And to follow the path, what is clear in Islam is, listen to this because it has to do with the real life here. يا أيها الذين آمنوا استجيبوا لله وللرسول إذا دعاكم لما يحييكم. So, all you who believe, who attend to faith, respond to the call of Allah and His Messenger when they call you, both of them call you to what gives you life. وَاعْلَمُوا أَنَّ اللَّهَ يَحُولُ بَيْنَ الْمَرْءِ وَقَلْبِهِ. And know that the knowledge of God is between you and your heart. So the first thing just to enter, to start the path, when you say, La ilaha illallah, there is no God, no deity but God, what you have to go is come back to your heart. The starting of the path is you. You start with yourself. And everything in this, the purpose of your life is don't serve humanity if you don't serve yourself. And this is why in anything that you know, الدعاء هو العبادة, that when you are asking Allah, you always start with yourself. Not because you are egocentric, is that you start with yourself, but because the best you are with yourself is going to be the best you are going to be with humanity. And the Prophet ﷺ was very strict and very disciplined with himself and open and full of rahmah for others. Which is the point that we have to get here. Starting with ourselves. And now, as you know, that it's all about struggling. It's all about being involved in a struggle. And you need to get that. We need to get that. We always keep on repeating Islam is a very simple religion and we have very simple principles. But it's very difficult to remain simple. So when Yasir Qadhi, Dr. Yasir Qadhi was saying, very simple answer to this big question, he's right. But to be simple, it's not always simple. This is a philosopher who is telling you that. But that's the point, that with life, sometimes with the principles in the way we have, it's not always easy to remain to the simple things of life. It's not always easy. So we have here to also understand that for some people, to be a father, to be a mother, as you said, things are changing. And now, it's very simple to think about fatherhood and motherhood. But to be a mother, to be a father, to implement the principles, that's very difficult today. Because the world is becoming so complex and things are normalized that 50 years ago you didn't even think that this would have been possible to think like that, to wear things that we are wearing. So we need here to come to this. And having said that now, and understand this, and tujahiduna fi sabilillahi. So tujahiduna, so it means that you have bi amwalikum wa anfusikum. This is something which is with all what you have and with yourself means what? A sense of sacrifice. That you have to give something. To be with him, you have to give something. The purpose of life is to get from him, but also to give for him. And this sense of sacrifice in our world is sometimes quite far from the American dream. So you want to get and not to give. So having said that, 3 things that I wanted to add at the end that are important for all of us. In the purpose of life, there are things that we have to keep as essential. Is how do we keep this faith and how do you keep this knowledge? You have to be involved in a very clear struggle. Is keeping your faith and getting knowledge. This is the purpose of your life wherever you are. How do you protect your life? And you know, we can have gathering like this, but no one on earth except Allah knows better than you what you need to protect your faith. You know what you have to avoid. You know what you have to do. And this is also something that we have to show to the people around us is we know that. You don't need a mufti to tell you your weaknesses. Or if you need a mufti to know your weaknesses, that's a weakness. And this is why you have to start with yourself and look at yourself. This is the starting point of everything, and then you build the knowledge on your weaknesses and your qualities that you have. This is it. The second thing which is essential, and you are coming to this conference to fulfill and achieve this, is remembrance. We need in our life, the purpose of life is to keep this remembrance, to try to be aware. In al-ghafla is to forget the signs. The opposite of ghafla is to take everything as a sign, as a remembrance, as a way you experience remembrance. So this is also the way you look at your life, and it's important to go for this. The third thing, and especially when you live in this country, that is essential. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent the Prophet ﷺ with a message, and the Prophet ﷺ was coming with a message. He's the messenger, al-Rasul. لديه رسالة. He's coming with a message. And you look at his life, and it's something which is quite interesting. He came with a message, and he spent most of his time listening to people. He was listening a lot. He gave the message, and he listened. And this is where us, as Muslims in this society, we have very, very often, as to our young generations, the people of other faiths, Muslims, we need to listen, and we have to provide the message in the light of what we are hearing from ourselves and from our neighborhood and our fellow. Listening, it's essential. The Prophet ﷺ was adapting what he was saying to what he was listening to. So this is also essential. And this is why also this quest for wisdom is essential. I'm sorry, you know, I took the point of Dr. Yasser Qadhi about what happened with Christianity. But the quest for wisdom, and especially when we live in an industrialized society, also to look at ourselves. And what is happening to Muslims in the United States of America, it's very tricky. It's very dangerous. There are many signals that we are following in the footsteps of many things that happen to Christianity. One, for example, you have the first thing which is important is this obsession with rules forgetting meaning. That's the starting point of a catastrophe. If you have this haram, 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 rules, 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 and this protective attitude, at the end, you are going to lose everything. Because Islam is not about rules. Islam is start with the meaning in your heart and you understand the rules. Know where you are heading, the path, and this you understand the limits. This is one. The second is the way we come to religion sometimes is more emotional than spiritual. A danger. Look at what is happening in the industrialized society. You have gathering of people coming to Christianity, and it's very emotional. It's very something which is, be careful, the difference of emotion and spirituality is emotion could be very simple to get. Spirituality is hard work. It's educating yourself. And this is also something which is very important for us. Sometimes the way we fast and the way we pray is sometimes an emotional attraction and not a spiritual dedication. Be careful with this. This is also something that we have to do as Muslims. Third thing which is important here is when sometimes we have fashion much more than school. Islam is a school, is not a fashionable religion. So what I see now is signals, the way we deal with Ramadan is not far from the way some are dealing with Christmas. It's a family culture. I think that, 80% in some region are fasting, which is good, but be careful. Ramadan, it's about striving. It's not about eating more. It's about thinking more, sleeping less. It's not about that. So we have to be careful with the history of other religions, because in the Quran, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is telling us, be careful with what happened to people before you. And the Prophet ﷺ is saying exactly the same. And we have this quest for wisdom is keep the essence of your religion. It's important. And this is where Islam, if we come back to it, you will see with the remembrance that we are faith, knowledge, remembrance, listening, communicating. Everything that we have in Islam is calling us to this. So to remember with humility is something which is essential for us. And if I can say something which is coming back to the essential, take care of yourself and provide care around yourself. Take care of yourself, which is the starting point of everything, and provide care. It just shows that you care about the people around you. This is very simple, but sometimes the people need very simple messages here just to come back to this is Islam. مَا وَقَرَ فِي الْقَلْبِ وَصَدَّقَهُ الْعَمَلِ is what is in your heart and it's confirmed by your action. And if I can say a last thing, Islam is all this beauty and it's a deep message of essence, but also what we need to do, and also I keep then saying this, as we have a session question and answer, dare to question. Dare as Muslims to oppose, dare to resist, and dare to say no. Muslims, whatever is the negative perception of Islam and with our people, the people around us, and I can tell you something, lots of people who believe in God, lots of Christians, lots of agnostic, they like to see people of faith that are courageous enough to say, I don't agree. Courageous enough to say, whatever is your take, La ilaha illallah, for life and for death. Whatever you say as Muslims in this country, I'm here for the good. And if this country is doing bad, I'm here to say no. Never. If the American dream is about oppression, no. If American dream is about double standard when it comes to human life, never. That's it. The Prophet ﷺ was serving the poor, standing in front of the oppressor. That's also Islam. That's also Islam. Islam is not, I want you to accept me because I'm a good Muslim. I'm going to be a good American. That's not the way. And I'm sorry to tell you, I come, and over the last 15 years, the American Muslims have changed. You are changing. Lots of people in this country become scared now. So I'm sorry. Assess your faith on your courage as well. The way you pray during the night and the way you face oppressors during the day. But if you pray during the night to sleep during the day, and not to face the oppressors, there is something wrong in the way you understand Islam. And your fellow citizens, they need this. They need American Muslims to show that they are here for the better in this country. We are here for the best way to help the Americans to be good people. in the name of morality, which means respecting human beings, whoever they are, whatever the color, whatever the social status, whatever their situation. Wallahu a'lam wa ala wa ahkam. Wassalamu alaikum.